Hi, it's me again, Tom. Well, little Q&A. So I've gotten some questions and answers over the years that I don't generally, make them into a video. I just answer them as they come by. So I've been getting a lot of them because I've gotten a lot of new subscribers, and people don't normally watch back videos. They just ask questions. That's cool, no problem. So one of the main questions I've ever gotten was, what did I carry for a knife? Knives are the hottest debate in America. Um, Typically, when I was younger, I carried a colonial fish knife. It's what I could afford. It's what I had. It was a knife, and I was a kid. And then I was given a K-bar, a Mark II Navy knife from a friend of ours, and I carried that K-bar for eons. When I went into the service, I bought that was stolen on me, by the way. And when I went into service, I bought another K-bar at the PX, and I still have it. And I carried that knife for 12 years exclusively. That and a Swiss Army knife Tinker. So then when I came home, I'm trying to think of the series of events that happened. They're kind of foggy, but I bought a Parker IMA 633, a big old Rambo looking knife, hollow handle on it. And and I don't know where I got it from, a Wilderness Explorer, the small ones, camouflage one. No, black one. And so after the Parker IMA, I bought a United Cutlery Bushmaster. Then I bought a K-bar bird and trout knife, a little 4-inch. Oh man, that was a great knife. And then I bought a Seal Tack, a couple of Swiss Army knives, and so on and so forth. And then it just started rolling into the point I can't think of. So that was the knives I actually used through the years. There was some pocket knives, and there was some other knives. Like I know I had a case knife at one time. I had a case hunter at one time. Had a K-bar 1237, which is a beautiful 7-inch Bowie. But the blade was so thin on it that it was only good for hunting. It wouldn't chop. It wouldn't, so it was a really good woodsman knife. It was just a hunter meat processing knife. And so that's what I can remember. Now, gear. I've been asked that, what kind of gear have you used? Okay, well, when I was younger, I had a blanket, one of Mom's old cooking pots, that colonial knife, and then my brother bought me a sleeping bag because we were going to start camping, but he never got around to it. So he bought me a sleeping bag. Then when I was in the Scouts, Dad gave me his old World War II backpack. He was in the Army Air Force, so it's a green. They call it a Musette bag, but it worked for me. And I had one of them round Boy Scout canteens. I remember that. I had Dad's Army canteen that he gave me when I was really young. No cup or anything, just a canteen. And after that, I got a military harness set off of a guy named Rich Sarr. Passed away now. But it was brand new. And he was in the National Guard. He gave it to me. And I started using that. The 2 ammo pouches, the butt pack and whatnot. And that would pack me up for a week. Seriously. I never used much gear. I never had it. So I learned how to do without it. But the one thing that was in there was a military poncho. One of the green ones. And my dad, we were in the yard one day and he was showing me different ways they used to use them in the Army and stuff. So, and an old friend that lived with that behind us, Joe, Trapper Joe, I talked about him before. He showed me how to use it into a plow point, like the mountain men used to. So, that was my kit. I rambled for years with that. Until I came out of wait a minute. I was way out of the service before I stopped using that. And then I started using an Alice pack. Unframed, medium pack. And it was so big that, I only used the pockets on the outside. And maybe sometimes I throw something heavier on the inside, like my sleeping bag or something. That was about it. And from packs, I went from that to... I've had a bunch of... I've had some SOG packs. I've had some tactical tailors. I've had some Walmart packs that worked great. I had a Marlboro pack one time, an external frame one that was phenomenal. Right now, the only pack I actually have to use is I have my dad's old Musette bag, and I have a military harness set, of course I don't use, and I have a Walmart teardrop, like a school book pack that holds my gear, and that's really all I need. Cooking sets, that was another thing. I used an old pot for years. And then when I got that canteen set, or that harness set, it had 2 canteen cups in it, so I used them forever. Then I was at a department store called Ames's. That's like a defunct department store now for at least 20 years. And they had a Tech Sport solo cook pot there, with a locking lid, the handle folded over the lid and locked. I thought that was a cat's meow. So I used that forever. And then one day I was at a flea market and I found this little, it was a 1 quart and a half quart pot set that nested together. One fit over top of the other. And I never knew it, but there was a thing called a Vulcan rocket stove, that Volcano stove, that fit in that pot set. So you had the stove and the 2 pot sets, and it was all a little contained unit that you carried. I did have the stove. I bought it separately, but that's the pots I have, and I used them forever. And I've gone through a lot of other cooking sets, Boy Scout mess kits and Army mess kits, stuff like that, but I always used them 2 pots. Got rid of the rest of them, and them, canteen cups and them 2 pots is all I ever needed. So those cooking sets, backpacks. I've had a couple of questions on the clothes I used to wear. To be honest with you, it was just military stuff. I wore BDUs day in and day out for about 15 years. I liked the cut of them. I never did like jeans. Jeans always seemed to bind in the crotch area, and every time I went to lift my leg, I wound up tripping or couldn't get my leg up over stuff, where the BDUs had all the room in the world, so that's what I used to use. Military combat boots forever. What I wore on my feet, winter, summer. That's what I had. Lately, I've settled into Rocky boots. The last 25 years, that's all I've owned. I've had a pair of Cornstalkers, a pair of Wild Wolves, and a pair of, what do they call them things I have now? I don't know. It's another pair of Rocky boots. So in the last 20 years, I've had 3 pairs of winter boots, and they've all been Rockies. I've had some Herman Survivors as just a general wear through the woods and whatever, because they're waterproof, and they were cheap. And basically that's it. But I will suggest this: if you're going to have a pair of boots, make sure they're waterproof. And if they're not waterproof, then waterproof them. Right now, currently, I've had a pair of Bates tactical for was 7 years, and I just wore them out, and I bought a brand new pair this year. So I got a pair of Bates Defenders and a pair of Bates Tacticals. So that was boots. As far as pants, like I said, BDUs, long johns, and upper body was always the long johns, the 5-button military sweaters, and the BDU top with the field jacket liner over it. That was my woods running clothes. And I started getting into wool, and I found out that, me and wool, I don't like it. I don't like using wool blankets to sleep with. It stays home. I don't need it. That's not to say it's not for other people. It's just not for Tom. I don't sleep warm at night, and wool is a great insulator. I mean, if you use it inside of a sleeping bag, it's phenomenal. But by itself, just wasn't for me. Gloves, I've used the military work gloves, the leather with the wool inserts for years. Hats, I've gone through a billion hats. Mostly anything I put on my head that's semi-insulated keeps me warm. So, lighting, been asked that too. Basically, lighting, I've used mag lights forever. Before that, it was a military flashlight, the angle heads, and an old Coleman lantern. Now I've gotten some other gear, lights wise, headlamps, and they're the best thing I've ever run across is the headlamps. But even they have their certain ins and outs. So, and just some small cob lanterns when I go camping. Oh, when I used to go camping. And that's about it. So hey, this was Tom. I hope you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to like and share. And I appreciate your time and your patience. And we will see you guys on the next one.